Hello, everybody, and welcome to Health Confidential with Simone Gisondi, the podcast where the secrets of the body meet the mysteries of healing. Each week, I explore the powerful world of holistic medicine, blending ancient wisdom and cutting edge science, conventional insight, and unconventional truths to decode some of the toughest cases and the most misunderstood conditions. I'm a certified holistic cancer therapies practitioner, a registered holistic nutritionist, and certified regenerative detoxification specialist. I am not a medical doctor. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. The diagnosis and therapies discussed here may not be right for you. Please consult a qualified healthcare medical provider before making changes to your health. To learn more about my work or to experience the power of the custom-made healing protocols that I develop, designed specifically for your unique body, your unique biochemistry, your history, and your internal terrain, visit simonegisondi.com and book a private consultation with me. And if this episode speaks to you, follow me on Instagram at simone.gisondi and share this episode with someone you love. Thank you for listening, and welcome to today's episode of Health Confidential. Hey everybody, welcome back to Health Confidential, where we explore the deeper layers of health as we do on every show. And I'm not talking about just what we eat and what we take, but how we live, how we listen, and how we learn to partner with our own body, with our own biology. So many people today are so exhausted, depleted, confused, and probably asking themselves, how do I keep going without burning myself into the ground? Because that's a thing, especially for those that are holding families as well as full-time jobs together. So today's conversation is about that exact crossroads, the moment where something inside of you says, there's got to be another way. This is not the way that I want to live. So we're going to talk about burnout, which in large part is a form of biological communication from our body to us. We'll talk about self-education as a way of self-respecting ourselves because we want to regain our health, and about how small intelligent shifts in nourishment as well as lifestyle can actually radically change the way that we feel in our bodies. So I'm so excited to bring this conversation to you guys today. And today's guest is someone that I hold near and dear to my heart because she's like a soul sister to me. I met her at the retreat that I talked to you guys about on my live the other day on Instagram. And from the moment that we met, we clicked. There was an immediate sense of recognition and, of course, resonance. She is a massive entrepreneur, a vegan cafe owner, a lifelong seeker, and the co-host of the podcast Get Obsessed, which is currently ranked number 4. My God, this girl is a powerhouse. Now, her journey took her through a season of profound change. She came very close to burnout and depletion. And she was forced to ask herself a very honest question. How do I make this life work without dying in the process? So what I love about her story, which she shared with me, is that it isn't about perfection, about ideology, or about any kind of extremes. It's about curiosity. It's about listening and about learning how to nourish our body intelligently and compassionately through self-education, through research, and of course, through lived experience. So I'm so excited for you guys to meet her and to hear the wisdom that she has earned through that journey that she is so generous in sharing. So I bring to you today the one and only Mika Altidor. Mika, welcome to my show.
Thank you, Simone. My goodness, what an introduction. I'm honored. What an
you
introduction.
I know from what I've learned about you that you sit at the intersection of entrepreneurship, food, personal growth, lived healing. So you are a powerhouse. Of course, I would want to have you on the show because I really want people to learn. But before we begin, I hope you join me in this, Mika. I want to share that neither of us are medical doctors. Nothing in this conversation is medical advice. We're not going to be dispensing any of that. What we're sharing today is educational, experiential, and intended to support our own self-inquiry and informed decision-making for those of us that are listening. And of course, please do your own research and consult practitioners that you trust.
Definitely. Oh,
Yes,
wow.
okay. So for those that are meeting you for the first time, obviously I was honored to meet you ahead of them. How would you describe the woman that you are today beyond the titles, the roles, the entrepreneur extraordinaire?
Wow. How would I describe myself? You said it perfectly in your introduction, seeker.
Yes,
I am I'm definitely a seeker of truth. I'm a seeker of, even if it's truth that's not pretty, truth that may kind of just raise your curiosity and make you question things, and just even if it makes your energy dip for just a second, the reality of truth. So I'm a seeker of truth. I like to describe myself as someone that wants to be better than yesterday, you know?
that's
So
right.
um, I describe myself as someone who is very joyful, internally joyful, and I will crack myself up just by myself, just privately. I'm like, girl, you're funny. Like, yes, I know. Thank you. And so I'm just joyful internally, and seeker of a truth that will always set me free,
Mhm.
and not confine me to be average and mediocre and be complacent just because a lot of people may want to be that way. So I am an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to be, because my parents, my dad, was a serial entrepreneur, amazing. Like, he passed away when I was a teen, but prior to that, he was an immigrant. He immigrated from Haiti. He spoke broken English. He spoke very little English. He spoke so little English that by the time I was able to read and write, like by the time I was like 7 or 8 years old, I was reading all the mail for my family. And my dad had already separated from my mom. So when he would pick me up on the weekends and I would go visit him, although he's an entrepreneur and he had a crew of men working for him, he was a director for fruit crops for picking. He had his own team. He had his own property. He was successful enough to buy his own truck, brand new red
Amazing.
truck, Ford F-150, his own home. Behind his home was almost like a warehouse style, one level uh, style, and it was like manufactured material, and it was where he housed his men, his crew, and he provided for families. So some of the men had a whole family, wives, children. So he was, excuse me, a true provider and a true entrepreneur. And so when I would go to his house, he's like, here's a stack of letters to read. My memories that I do not enjoy growing up was being the kid that my parents would like, outsource me to read letters or to go to doctors' offices, lawyers' offices, chiropractors' offices to translate. But apparently, I am made to serve. So I describe myself as, yeah, a seeker and someone that's just like, okay, what else can I do to enjoy life more fully before my last day? So
I love that. And I think that it's so true that a lot of times our life, especially early on in our childhood, is what forges us to become those that we do end up becoming. And oftentimes we also learn from what we see in our environment. So basically, what you said about your father being an entrepreneur, obviously clearly was a huge example to you because you are so entrepreneurial. When I met you, you have, and I would love for you to also talk about this. You have your own products on Amazon, and they are all about the empowerment of manifestation and belief in what we can achieve. And I love that about you because you're
thank
such an
you.
empowered woman. Love that.
Thank you, Simone. That means a lot, especially coming from you. Like, yeah, you're like a goddess to me. You are a goddess. You're not
Oh,
like, you
that's
are. Oh,
You are too kind to say that, but I think that we see a lot of each other in each other, aside from the fact that our birthdays are literally 4 days apart.
4 days apart. And I have one of my notebooks.
Yeah, please show us because it's one of the notebooks that you had when I met you and I was sitting next to you at the retreat,
Yeah,
and
I've
it has
got
very
a couple.
empowering messages. That's the one.
This, yeah, this is one. This is manifested.
So, manifested. For those of you that are
And
listening to the audio of this show, so it's a hardcover notebook. And on the front, it has a very empowering message. And the one that I saw that she was holding was, it said, it's done. So it's basically to prime your mind and your belief system into believing that it is done, that you're
yeah,
acting as if. And I think that translates very well in all facets of life, not just in manifestation of abundance, but rather also that of health. It is done. You have to believe that you are healthy and that you've achieved that
yeah,
level of health. So I love that about you because that can transcend all facets of life. So um, you obviously grew up around your father, who was involved in an entrepreneurial manner with food, and I say that. And I really I say that intentionally because I want the audience to know, coming from somebody who obviously I studied nutrition. So not just, I'm not a dietitian, but a nutritionist. We studied the nutrients, what food gives to the body so that the body can use as building blocks for actually the production of and secretion of all of everything that the body needs to secrete, such as neurotransmitters and enzymes and hormones. But also the fact that only what nature provides is real food, not what's made in a warehouse or in a factory or anything that's put together by men. So, what drew you into the world of food and nourishment originally, Mika?
Oh, wow. I actually have a degree in fashion design. So this is not
Okay.
my this is
Yes,
not my lane, but there's a story within a story
of
always, right,
course.
Simone?
Of
Um,
course, I studied psychology, and then now
well, there you go.
this is what I do.
Um, so I have a fashion design degree that I from Fort Lauderdale, the Institute of Fort Lauderdale. I lived in Fort Lauderdale, Florida for many, many years before I moved back to Central Florida, which is like an hour from Orlando in Winter Haven. So, what drew me to food? So, I have a fashion design background, but at the university, like, remember, I love food, period. So, I grew up
You're a foodie.
I'm a foodie, and there's something weird. You study psychology, so you could probably, you know, like zone in on this right away. So we kind of grew up with lack. We had very little
Mm,
of a lot, but there was progress within my family. My family did progress from a not so great home to a better middle class home, but there was still this energy of just lack. We were not on government assistance of any kind, so my mom worked very, very hard, and this was her sign for her that she was a great parent, was that she provided, and she
yeah,
did. Some days we would eat the same food every single day, like every single day. And so I think there's a connection with me from growing up with lack. There's a connection to like food. Even like food makes me feel better when I eat it. Like there's some comfort with food.
absolutely. Yeah,
And so and because of my awareness, I regulate that very well. That's why I don't look 300 pounds, even though I feel like I eat like I'm 300 pounds. I don't look like it because I self regulate and I'm aware of my limits. I'm aware that I can easily be a glutton if I want to. I could go there. So from my childhood, like there's this lack, and then to with food, I would always like food. I would see it, and I'd see you know just see it on the commercials and see all this and all that. I'm like, ah, that looks so good. And so I always had that as a kid. So when I was in university, I would So I wanted to indulge. I didn't want to buy like manufactured like cookies and donuts
Man-made
and
foods
brownies. Yeah, man-made stuff that came in a little plastic
or man-made
packages.
food-like products, as I call them, food-like products.
Yes, food like products that you go to the convenience store, they're there in the packages. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I want something that's just like warm and fresh out the oven. So I would make batches and I've got a fashion design degree. So I would make like batches of cookies and the oven would smell so good. The kitchen would smell so heavenly. Like, ah, I'm in love. And so me knowing myself, and plus I connect with food. Like I love to share with you. I love to share with people. So I would like set aside like 3 cookies. And then the other cookies, I would literally go door to door with to my neighbors and say,
Oh my
"Hey,
God.
yeah, so
That is
that's
very
my
you.
language.
That's
Yeah,
very you. That's
that's
very
my
you.
language, right? So I'm sharing, and then they'd melt, and I'm like, yeah, go grab whatever you want, and I'd go. I want to just clarify. I go to the neighbors that I like. Okay, I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm not
Of
perfect.
course,
Don't
of
judge me.
course.
Or you can judge me, but that's
No,
what it
no,
is.
that's human nature. I think we all do that.
Yeah. So I don't want to go around saying that I'm like Mary Poppins and I'm like, you know, I'm getting there though. I'm getting there. However, I went to the neighbors that I liked and thankfully I had a lot of neighbors that I liked. So I would give them and so they would love it. And same thing with brownies, whatever I was in the mood for, I would make it and then I would share it. So I would distribute it, I would share it. I love the energy of what I saw in their faces and what they gave me and the joy. And we just kept mirroring that back and it just felt so good. So this I was doing out of just pure joy. It wasn't anything related
So
to, go ahead.
so it's the nature. It's in your nature. And I know that I see this in obviously my daily interaction with you in how generously you share, obviously in other ways, because you're in Florida, my favorite state, and I'm in Canada. So obviously we're not close enough that we could actually do any of that. But we are, I know that you share very generously in the meditation group that we belong to, that you started, and you share all the information. So I could see how that would translate. That's just in the nature and the fabric of your being, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And there's just something about that with connecting and just the sharing, just coming together
Yeah,
and not, not for any ulterior motives. And unfortunately, some people are conditioned to that. They're like, what do like what do you want, and it's like,
yeah.
no, this is just what it is. This is just sharing. I don't want anything in return. And so it was that. And I also well, you and I have talked about this a little bit. I have, because of the way I grew up with a lot of stress as a child, the type of environment that I grew up in, apparently my nervous system did not feel safe.
Yeah.
So I found a way to adjust as a kid, growing up in an unsafe environment. And so that came through people pleasing, that came
Yeah.
through putting everyone before me.
Yeah.
And it conditioned me to never consider myself, never think of myself. Um, it was it was a very interesting way to grow up. Like it was very so I was totally programmed, and just that was just the way I was programmed that way. So I grew up with that. So I held a lot of emotions in my body, in my gut, especially in my second energy center, my second chakra. And I developed tumors. And so they're benign tumors. But when I discovered it, I remember it so clearly. Like I was in Fort Lauderdale and I was just in my bra and underwear and I was looking in the full length mirror and I looked at my abdomen and I saw my skin became very like translucent and there was
Mm.
like blotches of like blood coming through my skin.
Oh,
And
wow.
I didn't know, and I didn't know I had tumors at that time. And I saw that and I was like, ooh, this doesn't look good. And I had pain. I had severe like abdominal pain. And later in life, as I started to understand disease and started to understand health conditions and how things come about, it looks like all that stored emotions, like
Yeah.
not having a voice, can't speak, and and the trauma, like from my childhood, it
Yeah.
just manifested into disease. And here I am, a walking statistic, and I immediately said, I think I can heal this. I don't know how, but I was like, I think I can heal this. And so I started to look up like what was going on. And I went to the doctor. They confirmed it was fibroids, so tumors, benign tumors growing on the uterus. And so I figured, okay, what does I started researching, and food was an answer. So
Yep.
I changed my diet. I became vegan. I didn't know what the word vegan was when it said become vegan. Stop using dairy. Like, don't consume any more dairy. Dairy calcifies tumors, and also dairy causes inflammation. And so I started researching. I started researching at coffee enemas. I did some coffee enemas. I started researching all this,
Excellent.
right? I started researching. So I just started taking my power back. And at that time, I still didn't incorporate the emotional aspect. I didn't know that emotions had a bigger part in this. But what started me into my food journey, my food business, was the fact of disease, was the fact that I went into being vegan. And then I moved from Fort Lauderdale. I love Fort Lauderdale, so I moved, but I moved from there to be closer to family. And then where I lived, there was nothing vegan in the entire county. This is the largest county in Florida, Polk County. And so when I realized I was tired of driving an hour and a half to Tampa and an hour and a half to Orlando for a vegan burger, a vegan cookie, a vegan anything, and a vegan entree. Because sometimes I just got tired of cooking, and I'm like, okay, I want to be served, but driving round trip 3 hours, was just not satisfying at all. And then, out of frustration and wanting to serve other people who are like me in the area, I said, well, let me start this. So I started very humbly with the business, cottage food law. So cottage food law means you don't need a license. You're able to bake from your home. And
Amazing.
yeah, as long as it's shelf stable foods. So basically like breads, fruit breads, savory breads, sourdough breads, brownies, cookies. These are things that don't require refrigeration,
Hmm.
that don't require, don't require refrigeration of any kind. Is shelf stable, so it can be on the shelf for like 5 days before you need to throw it out.
Yeah.
So every state is different. So check into your state if you're interested in and baking. So I went into baking and I did Call to Food Law bakery. And then from there, it like grew, it snowballed. And I am now in this food business so I stopped doing fashion. I stopped doing fashion. By the way, in my fashion, at my height of my fashion, I did Miami Fashion Week. I did
What?
Fort Lauderdale Fashion Week. I did Miami Fashion Week several times. I did Fort Lauderdale Fashion Week. My jewelry has been in several magazines.
Wow.
I've been on television. I've been on live TV broadcasts. So I've done a lot of stuff, and I left that. I'm laughing. The irony. The irony. So anyway, you can look this up. You can. look up my name and YouTube and all this other stuff to check it out and Google. So, anywho, I started from ground zero and this whole baking and cooking, and then it just kind of it grew, and
Amazing.
yeah, and so I will be
What an
going back to
amazing
fashion,
story. Yeah.
right? I
No,
will
I
be
mean,
going back. I don't know how, and I don't know when, but I will be incorporating this in some way or shape.
yeah, especially because you have that under your belt as a that's your training and that's your education. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of the food related entrepreneurial business that you obviously are running right now is born from your own passion and in while you were seeking to reestablish your health. Because as you were telling the story, it was so much of you telling my story. It felt like you were telling my story because
yeah,
I went down the same path when I went through what the medical world calls stroke. I became vegan. That's the number one thing I did. I went back to school. I started
yep,
studying nutrition. And the first thing I did is I removed all of the foods that actually cause obstruction and inflammation. And yes, exactly what you said about dairy. Dairy is actually, for those
yeah,
that are listening, dairy is, as we all know, for all beings on earth, milk is what the female of that specific species produces to help the offspring grow. Therefore, milk is a substance of growth. And therefore, it would actually probably, I mean, of course, I'm not allowed to say this, but it would help even cancer cells grow. If it's
it
supportive
does.
of growth, then it's an obstruction. And we could go deeper, and this can be like a whole show in and of itself because the nutritional profile of the dairy, the milk that we consume from cows, has to be looked at vis-a-vis the amount of the nutrients that an animal that reaches 1,500 pounds needs, and the fact that us as humans reach, let's say, maximum 200 pounds, let's say naturally, and I'm speaking of men in this regard. Therefore, the nutritional profile that supports the growth of 1,500 pound animal is not actually aligned with what our body needs. It's actually, it exceeds it. So, therefore, the growth factors play a big role. So, I love the fact that you obviously came into this information and you removed dairy. That's one of the things that, even if you're not vegan, dairy is not your friend.
It's
Like, full
not.
stop.
Yeah, it's not. And it's obviously, I don't know about in Canada, but in the US, it's milk, dairy is considered carcinogenic. So, including the meat that is in the US is considered carcinogenic. So, and potato chips considered carcinogenic, including some other foods. So, I changed my life like complete 360, changed my life and went into this vegan landscape,
Hmm.
and my skin changed. So that translucentness of my skin and the blood
On your
patch that was
abdomen.
there showing, yeah, on my abdomen disappeared within days. The pain, the immense pain, like the pain was so severe I could barely walk. It just felt like someone was like kicking your uterus or squeezing it and twisting it. And that went away completely just from me changing my diet. I didn't change, like, I didn't do anything else. I just changed what I ate. I removed and I started to eat more consciously. So I was I eat really simple. I eat really boring. Although I love food, I'm like a creature of habit. Like I want to cook something like in 10 minutes. Like I want to from
Yeah.
start to finish,
Yeah.
I want it on my plate in 10 minutes. So I kind of just I ate like like roasted potatoes, roasted veggies, roasted mushrooms, very simple. And then in the beginning of my journey, and so that's what I did. And then the my business took off for food really
Of
fast.
course.
We
Yeah.
had a we had a distributor within months. So we started in September of 2016. By November of 2016, like like 4 ish months. Had a distributor that wanted 400 loaves of bread
Oh my
every single day.
goodness.
This chapter is titled The Beginning of Burning Out. It was awesome.
Okay, so
It was
that's how.
awesome.
Yeah.
And so I'm no longer in fashion. I am baking for a living. I'm doing vegan. Really awesome. And I'm working 28 hours a day. Yes, you heard that correctly.
Yeah,
That
28
means
out of the 24. I heard you,
yes.
of course.
Thank you. So for people listening who are like, wait, what? That doesn't make sense. That means I worked for 24 hours and I worked for, like Simone just said, 4 hours into the next day.
Yeah.
And I took a 2 hour nap and
Oh
I
my God.
continued that process. If anyone thinks this is not humanly possible, it totally is. There's other people you can find on YouTube
That do
that
this.
can
Yeah.
attest that they've done this, whether they work for corporations or they work for themselves. So I was averaging 120 hours a week and began to deteriorate
Of course.
and no longer prioritize myself, no longer prioritize my skincare, no longer like I have some really cute, nice clothes. Didn't wear them forever. I do mean I just started. You remember the yellow dress that I wore at
Yep. At the
that
retreat.
dress? The last time I wore that dress was 2016 when I went to Haiti on a trip. So
Oh,
that
wow.
dress had not seen the light of day. So I literally changed my identity from this divine feminine energy being into just I kind of took on this masculine energy. I'm still feminine, but I took on this masculine energy of just,
Oh, yeah. Running a business, of course. Yeah.
yeah, of just like running a business and running yourself into the ground. So I look like that. And so it wasn't a good chapter. If you see
So,
pictures of me from that time, it definitely looks like that.
yeah. So you mentioned that you obviously reached a point, that the breakdown point, where you had to ask yourself, how do I make it without, I mean, I'm burning myself into the ground. And of course, you kind of touched on what was happening in your life at that time and how your body responded. Um, and at what point did you realize that it wasn't just stress, that it was systemic? Because obviously you talked about the uterine fibroid, so that was very localized in that area. And of course, for those of you that don't know and haven't yet studied the energy centers, the AKA chakras, the one in number two, which is the related to our sexual organs or our reproductive organs. It's one that's tied to survival, and it's very much based on how you were talking. I could totally see how exactly that showed up in that specific energy center, which is the sacral chakra, for those of you that know it by chakras, or energy centers, second one. So, at what point did you realize that it wasn't just stress anymore, that it was a systemic thing? You were burning out, and your body was trying to say something that your mind had not yet listened to. So, I'm curious, what was that?
Mm. So this chapter that I've been describing is 2016. So yeah, so when I started and there was no sleeping, there was, like I said, like an
Oh, wow,
hour and a half to 2 hours. And so that took a toll. So fast
of
forward,
course.
we eventually opened a storefront, a beautiful storefront in downtown Winter Haven, and so our popularity it grew, and we are no longer distributing to one distributor. I did end that relationship. We went just full retail with a storefront, so a full cafe and bakery, and I was doing like over 90% of the work.
Oh my goodness.
And And so, and I was also supplying we have an amazing booth at that time at the farmer's market. So we had customers that depended on us every Saturday at the market. So I did pull all-nighters. So by 2021, when we opened, I had reduced from 120 hours a week to maybe about 70 hours a week. And my memory started to reflect this. Like, my memory just pretty much eroded.
Oh,
And
wow.
I remember one time a customer came in and he's like, "So where are you from?" And I literally looked at this customer and I did not have an answer to give him.
Oh, wow.
I looked at him and I was like, "Oh, wait, give me a second." That was a huge sign. And he just looked at me and he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it, don't worry." I'm like, okay, I said, "I'm sorry." And to not
Wow.
remember
Wow. Wow. Wow.
the city and state where you're born, that was a sign. So that was in 2021 in my cafe. And I realized that there was just fog. Like I was just not there. Like I was literally not there.
You were
And
basically on autopilot and
oh, yeah.
you were just kind of functioning.
Yeah. And I was making uh mistakes too. Just mistakes like not protecting myself, not being self. So I've got safe. So I have oven burns that I
Oh
shouldn't
my
have
goodness.
because, um,
From
but
those days.
yeah, from those days. And then there was some exhaustion. So not only was this affecting my mind, I could see it clearly in my memory, but there was an exhaustion that almost made, not that it didn't make sense, but there was just I couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep up running the business, and I
Yeah,
was literally like I was panting like I was running a mile, and I'm like huffing and puffing like in a kitchen, and I said, "This is not sustainable." And I'm just having this conversation with myself, and I
of
just felt
course.
exhausted. I felt like I'm running a marathon every single day. Like I literally, my body is showing signs of someone that's running a marathon every single day. And it was, and I was just moving slower and slower. And
Of
the demands
course.
were there. And there was just such a disconnect.
Of
I said,
course.
I said, there has to be another way. So I was on the cusp of burning out. I was on
S-
the door.
I really want the audience to know that burnout, especially in the way that you described it, Mika, is such a it's a an intelligence signal. It's not necessarily failure. I know that we probably frame it as such, but it's such an intelligence signal from the body. And of course, you see that there are the symptoms, the energy levels, which you talked about. I'm sure your sleep, which you yourself probably knowingly kind of put on the back burner so that you can drive your business forward. And then, of course, digestion takes a hit, emotional state takes a hit, brain fog. You talked about that, which is so one of the main symptoms. Then there's, anxiety kind of rolls into that, and hair and skin becomes because these are all organs, and because that's why I was asking because it was systemic. um, and I know that it obviously your body was trying to tell you something that your mind was not listening to, because your mind was on the business. So this is the intelligence of the body, you guys. This is how it talks to us. And then I think from the conversations that you and I had, you went on this. You began a phase of a different phase of the seeker phase. I would say the self education component, where you took responsibility, and I think that this is what self responsibility looks like. You realized that something had to change. So what, from your, like in your story, what did the research phase look like? How did you get on that road?
That's a beautiful question, Simone. Thank you for asking that. Before I answer that, I do want to add another element that I have not shared yet. I shared with you briefly at the retreat. That same time, there was there was trauma that happened to me in that same year of
Ah,
2021. There was a betrayal that took place,
relational
and
trauma.
uh, it's not your typical betrayal that someone will think of. Not at liberty to share those details. It was earth shaking, and it's not the kind that many people like basically like live through.
Experience. Yeah.
Yes. It was something from a movie by by every sense of the word. It was, and I did not share it. Like I shared it with my family a month later, and yeah, so I shared it with my family a month later, and they kind of helped me behind the scenes a little bit, but I still did 90%, if not more, of the business showing up. So it wasn't just physical, but there was also this other supernatural component that was placed
Mm,
into me. And I have never, although I did have a less than fortunate childhood emotionally, financially, physically, but I have never experienced trauma as a child. I've never experienced trauma as a teenager or an adult until that time,
this
until
one.
2021. Yes. And so I would get an hour sleep.
Oh my God.
I would get an hour sleep max, wake up screaming and crying.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just any, I mean like let me die now type of screaming and crying.
I know. Yeah.
Every single night. I think you know, you understand. And so that was every single night privately. I'm sharing this with you and your audience. I have not shared this with anyone, not even, yeah, my podcast co-host. Like, I haven't shared this on even my podcast, but I wanted to share with you and your listeners, since we're talking about this chapter,
Yeah.
this journey, like that's a part of that chapter. So it was impossible to sleep. And that's when I went into Dr. Joe Dispenza's work more.
Yeah.
I I needed saving. I needed remedy. And so I went into the work full on 4.5 years ago. So
Yeah.
that's what spawned the emotional aspect of it. And for anyone that's going through something that you think that you cannot survive, I promise you,
Mm.
I'm trying to say this with no emotion.
Oh my goodness. I love you so much for this, Mika, because I know that you comforted me when we met at the event, and because I came there for the exact same reason, for this
Yeah.
massive, massive betrayal that completely collapsed my health. And
Yeah.
you said you were sleeping an hour. Yes, the way I was actually talking the other
Yeah.
day with somebody, I was sleeping, I would say maybe a total of 6 hours a week at
Yes.
the height of
Yeah.
that. And I would do exactly the
Yeah.
same thing. I would be, the crying was so hysterical because it was the body trying to
Yeah.
offload some of the energy that was stored
Just, yeah.
in the nervous system. And
Screaming. Yeah.
yeah, and the body was obviously using its mechanisms to try to recalibrate itself, if we're going to be looking at it from a heal perspective, while we don't understand that. So we look at that as what the heck is going on. And when you're at that heightened state of, in such a high place of trauma, and then you have the person that, let's say, was the one who inflicted the pain or the trauma, that is not supportive, that is almost double, because we look to those people to at least validate the pain,
Yeah.
and it is those people that actually probably just make it worse. I know that a lot of the people that I spoke with in my own situation, that's how it was. So thank you so much for bringing this forward, because I really want people to understand that oftentimes we look at disease as being something that is caused by our what we eat, which is not, I'm not discounting the fact that diet contributes to, but even through the research that I've done and validated by what you just shared right now, the emotional aspect of things are what will absolutely collapse the body. And people don't make the connection because they look at emotional stuff not as something tangible, whereas the body is something tangible. It's a matter, it's a physical matter. So the two don't align in people's minds.
Yeah, no, the emotional part, Simone, like you
Yeah,
said, is a critical part. And
critical is a good word.
I,
Absolutely.
so for you listening, I do want to tell you, if you're going through something that is is beyond you, and you feel like this is the hardest your life has ever been, this is the most difficult challenge that you are going through, whatever that thing is,
Yeah,
I hope I can just shed light for you, just be a testimonial that, you know, you can survive and you can thrive whatever you are experiencing right now. When I was in the midst of it,
you didn't see the end.
I was taking life
Yeah.
moment by moment. I couldn't see the end. It was hell. And Simone, I know you can relate. It was
Oh,
hell, and it was a private hell. I did not I did not share what, not until now, that I'm finally voicing what my nights were like. And I showed up for work as the next day at the cafe. I served my customers. You know, I didn't share
while
with
you
my
held all of
family.
that inside.
I did because I
Oh,
guess that's just the way I am. I'm not, I'm gonna share something with you if you can help me. If you can't help me, I'm not going to trauma bond. I'm not gonna trauma dump. I'm not going to enter a conversation like that. If you can help me, then please help me. And I'm gonna come to you and I'm gonna say, hey, Simone, I'm going through this, this, and that. And then you're going to say, Mika, here's what you can do this, this, and that.
hmm,
And, you know, listen to these lectures. Mika, listen to these uplifting songs, you know, attend these classes, take these supplements. If you can give me some, some constructive help, okay. But if you're going to say, you know, oh, I feel so sorry for you. If you're just going to
yeah,
be there to feel sorry for me, which is what 99% of the feedback that I imagine I would get, I don't want someone to feel sorry for me. I want you to help me. If you can't help me, then I'm going to keep it to myself, and I
yeah.
will seek, like you said, a seeker. So, so this was happening, you know, at the same time that my energy is depleted, the same time of everything. So, but I wanted to mention that I did get better. I did seek more wellness, the emotional aspect of it. And through meditation, I remember through my meditation group that Simone mentioned, I run a Dr. Joe meditation group.
Hmm.
And so I remember that we did an all day meditation on a Sunday. And that was interesting because that night was the first night that I actually slept and I did not wake up. My body did not wake me up for 8 hours. I got a full night's sleep. That
Oh
was the
my
power
God.
of meditation. Yes. So fast forward when you said, how did become the seeker? So I just wanted to let everyone know the background of, you know,
Yeah.
I'm doing all this by myself. So I am a believer that the body can is miraculous, and it can heal itself, it can provide, and I can keep up with my business. I didn't have to be a victim of not being able to keep up and to collapse. So I started searching on YouTube. You know, I went to YouTube University, started looking up what could I do for energy? What can I do for this? What can I do for that? And I just went down that rabbit hole and did not look back. I started looking up, there's a product, it's called Shilajit, and it's
Oh,
spelled in a,
love.
you've heard,
I
yes,
love
Shilajit.
Shilajit. Oh, yeah.
I discovered that, and so someone mentioned it on Instagram, and then an old video, and then I went to YouTube, like, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a product for anyone listening that doesn't know what Shilajit is. It's a black tar substance that is inside the mountains, so it's inside the caves and mountains of the Himalayas, and Western scientists noticed that they, when they went to these certain areas in the Himalayas, that, and they were studying the people, that the people were centurions, but they look extremely youthful.
Yeah.
And they're not only just in face, but also in body. Their body was extremely vital, like full of vitality,
Yeah.
youthfulness, and energy to do the kind of everyday domestic labor that they were doing with carrying water, doing, the farming, everything that they were doing required a lot of energy. And these are centurions that are doing
Working the
this.
land. Yeah.
Yeah, working the land. So scientists were like, what is this? And then they like, what is why? And so they noticed that they were eating the black tar, and that's called shilajit. And so in the altitude of the Himalayas, is it hardens. And
Yep.
so when you go up there and you actually harvest it, so you have to chisel it out of the caves and mountains, and then when you bring it down to like a like warmer temperatures, warmer
Temperatures.
climates, yeah, it starts to turn into like the state of it changes to like a tar. And
Yeah.
so I said, I'm getting that. So I purchased that. That was the first product that I purchased. And within a few days, I noticed I was no longer huffing and puffing. Like I
Mhm.
noticed I was like, because this was me in the beginning. There's like, after each task, lifting a 25-pound bag of flour. Like this is a sound I made like every single time, but
Yeah.
I was working every single day. And then with this product, Sheila G, and I made sure I got something that was a good product, a good manufacturer. And so I had energy. I
Yes.
totally
So
changed.
Shilajit is actually full of minerals. Minerals. I mean, very, very mineral rich.
Yes.
I could say that, excuse me, you're very lucky because in the United States, there's such an abundance of Shilajit. It's almost unheard of in Canada. Um, I
Wow.
mean, yeah, because, the Health Canada, which is the governing body of healthcare and health related things, that obviously allows anything to come into the country, has very different standards that obviously across these imaginary lines. Because
Mm.
me, Canadian, going into the United States and buying and consuming Shilajit does not harm me in any way, but somehow they believe that over this imaginary line it's going to do something to people. So yeah, it's very difficult to come by, but I'm a huge fan. The only thing I want to emphasize is what you said: you have to buy it from trusted sources and make sure that it's not. I mean, there are a lot of people out there who want to make money, so all it is they just could take any kind of anything, dye it black and sell it to you. But you really have to
Yeah.
know where you're getting it from, and it's probably one of the most important supplements. Yeah, it's full of minerals. Full.
Full of it.
I I consume it every morning.
Me too. I take
Yeah.
it every day. I do. There is something else that I've forgotten that I want to kind of touch back on.
I'd like to take a quick break now to let you know that today's show is sponsored by my book, Against Medical Advice. This book is a memoir, and it tells the story of how I built my life back after suffering a stroke during my divorce. I discuss the nutritional, lifestyle, and mindset aspects that I put into practice to regain my health and rebuild my life. The book has been a labor of love, both writing it and publishing it, and I couldn't be more proud of it. please pick up your copy from Amazon. For your very own signed copy, my email address is simone@simonegisondi.com. Oh, and I'd really appreciate it if you'd please consider leaving a review once you've read the book. And now, back to the
Touch
show.
back on before I became the seeker. Um, as I said, I'm working over 70 hours. I was probably working more like 80 hours a week at that point.
Lord have mercy.
And I was fading, like memory gone, as I've described earlier, energy like getting depleted, making stupid accidents, careless
Of course.
mistakes, like I wasn't all the way there. And again, like I said earlier, an hour of sleep max, crying hysterically all night, wanting to die. I was like, God, just take me. And he didn't. There's two things I wanted to kind of go back on. I was on live news the day the trauma happened, the betrayal happened,
Mm.
but it was hours before. So I was vibrant,
Ah,
beautiful, great, like just great energy. It was live. And uh so it was for the bakery, and but at that time I did not have the bakery. It was still at farmers markets, and it was a great segment. Did it live. I do live TV pretty well, and then hours later, the betrayal happened. My life changed
drastically.
completely,
Yeah.
and I was on TV again. So I had to work. I did not have a moment to process. I didn't have a moment to grieve. I didn't have a moment for anything. I still
To
had to
even
work.
integrate or to make sense of it.
No, I had to work. I had to show up every single day because there was an event. So that was the reason for the news segment. The live news segment was to promote that this event was happening, and so I was in preparation for the event and for all the people that were coming to this event. The event happened on Sunday. 4 days later,
Hmm.
I did not eat for 4 days. So
Wow.
from when that event happened on Thursday, so I'm being recorded again on Sunday. I did not look like the same person. I
Oh,
had lost so much weight. You could, like, I was skin and bones. Like, trauma really does change the way you look. If you put
100%.
a side by side, and I haven't done, I really wish, maybe, I think I will do it one day because it's important. I don't have the energy to search it, but I can look up the segments and just put them side by side. It is so shocking.
I believe that.
And during the event, so there were so many people at the event on that Sunday when it was recorded. It was huge, and I had to show up. All I wanted to do was scream and cry, but I couldn't because there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, and they're buying my products. And the inner me was totally different than the outward me. I was smiling and serving
Yeah.
and exchanging money, doing transactions,
They call that
answering questions.
dissociation. Yeah.
And all I wanted to do, I remember this very vividly, all I wanted to do was just like scream and cry, but it was not the environment for it. It was
Yeah. So,
not possible. It wasn't
so
possible.
what I want to touch on at this point, Mika, is that a lot of us are um, taught to and conditioned to suppress our emotions and be emotionally regulated. So in essence, you are expected to force your body, all of the systems. of the body and the emotional systems to be in a mode that in that moment is impossible. And I want to give people an example that they could actually anchor themselves to. It's like saying you are giving birth right now, but just go on live TV and do a, you know, tell the news. So don't scream, don't show that you're in pain, just go and do it. A lot of people, and I know that when I went through my betrayal, which is what collapsed me as well, and everything you said, like I said, you're telling my story. I lost a total of, I think, 15 pounds in a
Wow.
matter. Yeah, I was exactly like you, skin and bones, clothes would not sit on me. I couldn't function. I had no, like, and for those of you that don't know, and you could go and fact check this, when you go through something of this caliber, it's actually your brain gets injured, literally. Like your physiology gets injured. Your brain is injured from this. This is why you have like no ability to, no recollection. So you cannot go into a memory bank to pull on because your brain is actually trying to fix itself. Um, but the emotional suppression in these moments is actually more damaging. It's so important that we honor what we go through. And
Yeah.
what you're describing, and I'm going to actually do I want to go and do a deep dive on this as well, because I really want people to understand just how harmful trauma is. You're describing sort of the dark night of the nervous system. Your nervous system
Yeah.
just took a hit, a hard
Yeah.
hit,
Oof.
and the
Yeah.
body is so resilient. I want people to understand, just based on everything that you said, the amount that the body takes and holds and helps you continue to function, much like what you were saying, back on live TV, in front of your customers, exchanging money, being able to, obviously, when you were exchanging money, you were probably calculating. You were asking your brain to provide you with information to be able to process information. And we do that in the face, and it's often, more often than not, it's women, in the face of some of the worst things that can happen. And I want people to know, like, because I was doing research on this and getting ready for the segment that I want to do on the dark night of the nervous system. The When women go through these kind of things, especially at midlife, this is when women commit suicide the most. It is
Mm.
that it is that difficult, and a lot of women don't know how they make it. And I know that we tap into a very divine intelligence for energy that provides us with what we need. And I love what you said about the full day meditation. I want people to understand. I'm just going to gloss over it quickly. When you go in those states, you are literally putting your nervous system in coherence. And so it's more regulated to help itself heal. And that's literally what happens when we go to the retreats that we go to. We co regulate with everybody else that's there. You and I attended the one. I know that you've done more than me. I just did my first, but we all co-regulate our nervous systems together. So there is that sense of, you feel safe. There's that place of safety and non-judgment, because everybody's there for the same thing. So that's why I'm a big believer that if you want to take the first steps, and of course most people don't know where to turn and how to do it, those are probably one of the most healing and helpful things to do. You go into a place where there's co-regulated nervous systems that will help yours as well.
Yes. Yes. You said that beautifully, Simone.
Yeah, but that's like
Meditations.
what you went through. My God.
Oh yeah. I mean, and I was also crying in front of my customers every single day. When we did get our storefront, that same year I manifested my storefront. So we're
Yeah.
no longer just doing farmers market, but we were doing farmers market and we had a storefront. So I manifested that. And it was just great success early on. And I was crying in front of my customers every single day. And I am someone, I've told you about this. Because of the way I grew up, I did not cry unless if I cried, it was something very serious. I probably cried like once a year or once every
Oh,
2 years
wow.
as a child, as teen. So, and maybe there were moments where I did cry a little more frequently, like maybe like once every 6 months, but they were brief. For most times, it was like once a year. But when after the trauma happened, I was literally crying, and this we were brand new as a storefront. October 2021, we opened. I was crying in front of my customers every single day, and it was not because it was related, but not related at the same time. I was crying from generosity. So when I was seen and I was appreciated, like when a customer would compliment me and they would say, "Wow, you put so much love in your food." And I'd be like, "Thank you so much. Oh my God." And the customer would freak out. And I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I don't mean to cry in front of you." It was that. So whenever someone would compliment me or they would tip me like a $20 bill or they would tip me a $10 bill, oh, thank you so much.
It was the you were
Releasing.
acknowledged.
Yeah, I was acknowledged. And and the husbands and wives would like look at each other like, we didn't know, like she's crying. What do we do? And so, and I remember a time a parent gave like the tip. They gave it to their little kid. They gave it to their maybe 5-year-old son or 6-year-old son, and to hand to me. And I wasn't aware of it, so I went up to check on them on their table. They expressed that they were grateful, and then they gave the tip to their little child to give to me. And I'm like, fire, like just waterfalls, and this was like I no longer I was past embarrassment. I could no longer be embarrassed. It was just I literally just surrendered to the fact that I am crying every single day in front of my
That's
customers, and
amazing.
that's not me. Like that is I don't show those kind of emotions to my customers. I'm a very big believer in hospitality, and I want you to have an amazing experience. And crying in front of you is not the experience I want you to have. Having my customers comfort me and say, there, it'll get better, whatever it is. That's not the experience I want my customers to have. But, I just said, you know what? It is what it is. So this is in the
I
midst of all of my stuff.
I think that the
Mhm.
authenticity of it, and that's another thing that I want people to know. I've done so much research on trauma. You guys have no idea, especially because I see even in the work that I do with my clients that a lot of people are traumatized, and there's no shame in it whatsoever because we went through a mass collective trauma back in 2020. We all know what happened. So there's no shame in being traumatized. But I think when so this is the research that I've done literally last night, and I wanted to share it with the audience because it ties in so much with what you just said, Mika. When we suppress, so when we show up with um, performative niceness and suppression of our own energy, and underneath it all, we are, let's say, angry, and we feel rage over the injustice or the fact that somebody did something to us to harm us, and it's so much more coherent for your system to have a an authentic emotion such as anger, such as rage, and for it to be expressed in a safe way than for you to perform in a way that betrays you. Your body knows. Your every
Mhm.
single cell in your body knows when you're betraying. So the irony in it is that we don't want to be betrayed by another, but we betray our own selves, and
Mhm.
that's very damaging to the body, and especially when oftentimes it happens on top of the betrayal from somebody else. So I really want you to know that you showing up and crying in such an authentic way was actually such a huge benefit to you and your health, and of course your customers got to see the real you rather
Oh,
than, because
wow.
oftentimes we just perform. I know I've done
It
that
was a very
myself.
interesting time, Simone. I can
Yeah.
tell you that it was a very interesting time. And it was always out of generosity. Of course, I did cry because of the trauma. The mornings of, like my quiet mornings.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it was a surprise to me, Simone, to see that I was, crying
Able to
from their,
cry.
yeah, to cry, from their generosity and their kindness and their beautiful smiles, their beautiful energies, and they're sharing their kind words with me. And you know, um, it was a very interesting time. And I do want to say this about my particular situation. I did forgive, like, not, I want to say almost instantly. Like, within, it was, there was no blame or anger. There wasn't a charge. I want to say within days, if not a week of my situation. And I'm not saying that just to sound philosophical or poetic. I do mean that. Like, I release and let go, but I'm still left with the effects. So I was left with the effects of the grenade, going
Hmm.
off. But I didn't have any anger or charge, any negative emotion towards all parties involved.
Hmm.
I mean that sincerely. And it was because of like my nature plus a combination of the work that I've been studying, with having, disease, and going through my healing journey and studying some of Dr. Joe's work. I I already knew, so I didn't forgive everyone because I had to. It was just it wasn't my bag to hold. Like,
Yeah.
literally wasn't my bag to hold. Like, I was able to observe everything that happened and deal with the aftermath that I'm dealing with, but I didn't hold anyone like responsible. It just wasn't in me. It really wasn't. I could still look at pictures from all the years before, and I don't have a charge towards them at all. So I just
I
wanted to
love
put
the
that.
fact that you brought this up, and I think it's such an important component of healing. There's a caveat though, and I speak about this from my own experience. It's important that when such a big traumatic event happens, the lesson is learned and integrated. What I did, which was a mistake on my part, the initial, because for me, the betrayals happened with the same person on multiple occasions. So you have to be able to discern when you forgive and you allow the person to stay in your life, if they do that to you again, um, it's obviously your organism, your nervous system is going to be taken right back to that place of unsafety. So it's important to know, yes, forgive. Don't, much like what you said, it's not your bag to hold. It's that person's lack of integrity or whatever it is that they did, what they did to you. But it's also important that you draw boundaries and you do not allow that energy in your life to continue to harm you. Because if you do, then you are self betraying again. And therefore, you
Mm,
have not integrated your lesson. And that was my mistake. I allowed this individual to be like the betrayal happened over a span of 25 years. Um, and so if I came to the point where I said, but I already forgave the first time. And it's like, yeah, but why would you allow that person that has not done the work you've done to still be in your life to be able to continue to do that? So I want the audience to think on that. It's important to forgive. But if you see the same kind of behavioral patterns, and I learned about patterns from Tony Robbins, if you see the same behavioral patterns, you will understand that you've done your job, but the person you allow in your life may not have done the same.
absolutely. Absolutely.
But
So this
yes, the energy of forgiveness is such an important part of being able to move forward so that you're not going to drag the healing process forever and ever.
exactly. And Simone, so this was all happening all at the same time. And when I was almost there to burn out, I was at the door. of burnout.
Yeah.
And I knew something had to give. So then I started being a seeker, like, and started with Sheila G, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
And I mean, complete 180. I had energy. I felt great. Just, I felt revived. And then I started gradually adding on more supplements. I started with, did vitamin C, zinc, vitamin B1, B6, B12. And then I started to focus on the digestion. So I purchased and continue to take activated charcoal.
Yeah.
Started taking, I really hate that I'm going to mispronounce it, berberine. I'm going to
Berberine.
mispronounce.
Yeah.
Yes, berberine. And also high, I'm going to mispronounce that. I don't, HCl,
Okay.
hydro.
Hydrochloric acid. Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's
Started taking
to
that.
digest. Yeah.
Yes, I worked on my digestion. And I worked on, I took supplements for immune system. I took supplements for liver health. I took
Mm-hmm.
supplements for heart health. I took supplements for respiratory health, because I have, asthma.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was taking supplements. So I invested in myself. And then I started to work on supplements for memory. And I took NAD. So I still take that
Amazing.
NAD. And there's another one. I have a list here. I can't think of it. It's not popping up quickly enough, but I took another brain supplement. And I just went on Amazon. I
Bacopa is
remember.
a great one for those of you that want to take and
Yes, I take that
lion's
too.
mane, and I believe one of the greatest ones as well, magnesium L-threonate is a
Yes,
great brain one. That
yes.
those are the ones that I take. Obviously, like having gone through the stroke, I was very incentivized to make sure that I invest um, in my brain and the health of my brain. But I love what you said because you literally described going from almost dying to thriving,
Yeah, yeah,
literally.
and literally. So I invested in these supplements and minerals,
But
and I became. Mhm.
Mika, paint the contrast for us because I really want the audience to understand what I want them to understand it from a place of feeling. What was almost dying like, and what does thriving, which you are right now, feel like in your body, in your mind, in your emotions? Like, paint the picture so that people can understand this is where I was, this is where I am, this was the difference, this is what I did.
Where I was, Simone, I was running on empty. If you have your car
Yeah,
and you run it like past that line on E,
that's right.
and you have a stretch before you get to the gas station, that's where I was. I was I was probably like, just to compare it to a car, give you that car analogy, is where I have just enough gas to make it to
The
the
gas
gas
station.
station that's probably like less than a mile away.
And you put
And
like
so,
$2 of gas and then you go to the next gas station. I
yes.
know the feeling.
So I was not on empty, but I was almost there. I
Yeah.
was almost empty. I had very, very low energy. I had very little to give. I was giving, like I said, about 80 hours a week to my business at that point. I'm now at 60 max. I'm at 60 hours max of my business. So 50 to 60 hours max right now, which is good. But then I was 80 hours a week. I had very little to give to anyone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, this is a little TMI. I barely washed my face. Like, I could go a week without washing my face because I'm like, no, I don't have time. So, yeah.
You were
If
trying
you
to
are the,
conserve time so that you
yeah,
can put it towards other things, which is like
yeah.
self abandonment, really.
I did 100% self-abandonment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for
Which is
anyone listening that's like, how is it possible to go a week without showering? Or you could be the person that's like, maybe I'm the only one that's gone a week without showering. It's or washing my face. I just don't have it in me. I was there. I can relate.
that's
So
really, yeah, that's really why I know that earlier you said that you don't like to trauma bond or anything, but I really want you to understand the value of sharing these things because a lot of people feel isolated. And I remember when I had my first child, right after I gave birth, and he's born in December. And so we're at the height of winter in Canada. And I was going through postpartum depression. I thought I
mhm.
was the only one because everybody looked. I'm like, everybody holds it together. Look at all these moms. They're so happy and well adjusted. And what's wrong with me? And why am I so messed up? And what's wrong with my mind? And what's wrong with my body? Yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. And so I really love the fact that you're sharing, and I really appreciate you for that because I really want people to hear that a lot of the things that you share, they probably have experienced, have felt, and so they're not alone. It's not something
Yeah,
that's happening just to them. A lot of us have gone through these horrible, catastrophic, literally catastrophic, when you come to the point where you're not able to function. That's catastrophic kind of trauma, catastrophic, like your health, your nervous system is in a state of almost gone completely. So I really appreciate you for sharing. Now tell us, so you went from that level of almost dying,
yeah,
complete collapse. And what does thriving feel like in your body right now, in your emotions, in your energy, in your mind, in your the way that your brain functions?
totally different, Simone. Totally different. I get compliments from people on
Yeah.
how great my memory is.
There you
I get
go.
compliments. So
Amazing.
just to kind of paint the picture for people, like people will come in that probably haven't come in months, and I will recognize them, or I remember the conversation that I had with them. Like they'll tell me
That's
that they're
beautiful.
visiting from Scottsdale, and then they come in and I'll say things to them like, "Hey, Scottsdale." I'll call them Scottsdale, or I will say things to them like, "Good to see you in town. What's going on back home in Scottsdale?" And they're like, "You remember?" And they'll say, "But that was 8 months ago, or that was a
That's
year ago, or
amazing.
so my memory is super sharp. It is super sharp.
That is
And
the definition of
and
thriving right there.
yes, that like my memory is super sharp. I'm an asset to myself. So I can recall I recall things, and whether it's, there's personal stuff I have to write down, but you say something to me that's of value of report, like I will remember. And a lot of times I remember better than a lot of other people when they recall a story. My memory is super on point. I'm very, very thankful of that. I get compliments all the time. And I'll paint a picture for you, another picture. In a kitchen, I noticed that I like to keep a very organized kitchen. You kind of have to, especially when we take care of people that have gluten allergies. So
So
it's
true.
really important. Yeah, and it's not a gluten-free kitchen. So cross-contamination is very important to me. I make sure that things are where they're supposed to be and not mixed with anything else or close. Not even close. It can't be close. And one of my employees, she placed a kitchen tool, like a kitchen utensil, where it wasn't supposed to be. And I didn't see it when it happened. I just walked by and noticed it. And she likes to not admit fault. So she tries to like be like, well, what do you mean? I don't know. She tried to do this stuff, and I'm not a stickler for stuff,
Mm.
so I just, anyway, I let her say what she wants, but I'm like, okay, rectify. So she likes to like not take, she doesn't want to be blamed for something. So I noticed the kitchen tool being where it wasn't supposed to be, and it can be harmful for someone that has a certain like gluten allergy.
That's right.
And yeah, and so we've had these conversations like over and over. I've had it with her, and I noticed this tool. I'm like, what is that doing there? I just came into the kitchen, and she goes, well, I don't know. And she'll like to say something like, well, maybe you placed it there. She likes to do that.
Ah,
And my memory is so good that I told her, very interesting. When I took the vegan cookies out of the oven like 20 minutes ago, that is the same kitchen tool, the same kitchen utensil that I use to take some of the cookies and place them on a plate. And I placed that that spatula, I placed it back on the cookie rack. And then she smirks and she goes, you're right. I tried to get you, but you're right. I did move that. I'm sorry, she says.
ah.
So she's like, how did you know? I'm like, I remember.
I
So yeah, my
absolutely
memory.
love that you were able to bring back, especially the memory, because the brain is such an important organ, and our ability to have recall is an important function of the brain. And I love the fact that you were able to bring all of that back online through all of the actions that you took and your
Yeah.
obviously diet, lifestyle, um, and I know
Yeah.
that a lot of it is also to do with the meditations that we do that allows the brain to go into, of course we could do a whole show on this, and the brain waves to actually go through their cycles. So I love that.
Yeah.
What
I,
which changes would you say made the biggest difference, the fastest for you, Mika?
Um, the supplements, I want to say the supplements were huge. I was taking things, I take things like copper. I take supplements
Yeah,
that are in the ground that most, I don't want to say most people, but some people don't take. They're low in copper. They're
yeah.
low in, I'm
Zinc.
gonna zinc. They're low in zinc and also there's there's just so much. I take these supplements, and they've been super beneficial in turning things around for me. And also, I began to sleep more. I
Yeah,
began to sleep better because,
yeah,
again, doing the meditations, doing the emotional work, I began to uh, have normal night sleep
yeah.
and ladies and gentlemen, I stopped crying in front of customers naturally. And I was so happy when that day came. It was a hallelujah moment. Let me tell you, Simone, I was so grateful. My healing, when I was able to receive a compliment from someone, and I would just say, with just full gratitude, thank you. Thank you so much. That means
And
so
you
much to
allowed
me.
yourself to receive that into your being and accepted
Yes.
it as a fact of what you are,
Yeah.
rather than push back at it, which I know a lot of people, especially people pleasers, like, no, not
Yeah.
me, you are you put somebody else ahead of you. So I'm so
Yeah.
happy to hear that. That's
I
amazing. And to
probably it probably took I want to say it was less than a year. It
hmm
wasn't a full year. It was less than a year.
hmm
Maybe about 9 months. And I
yeah.
knew that the effects of my trauma and it was lifting. So I want to say it was about 9 months ish. And that was just, that made my day that I was able to have a have a day without, just to be normal, quote unquote, normal
Yeah.
in front of people. And that just showed emotional balance. And I do want to share someone else's story, just really quick, Simone, if I may.
hmm Absolutely.
I met an amazing woman. She came into the cafe, Danielle. She and I are friends now. She's a customer that became my friend. And Danielle came in and she said that she is working on her memory. And I said, "Do tell me more about this." She was running four businesses
Oh,
and she collapsed
that
because she had not
happens.
slept
Yes.
in days. So she reached burnout, complete burnout. She was in a hospital with no
Oh,
ID, no
oh,
identification.
oh, oh, oh.
There was no one knew where she was. No one knew how to find her. She woke up in a hospital. She was not able to tell doctors really who she was,
That's
anything.
crazy.
She just told me the story about 30 days ago, when we met, and her memory just like gone. She reached burnout
Mm-hmm.
and she's rebuilding her memory. So I shared with her all my supplements. She was amazed by my supplements. I have so many supplements. It was when I first ordered on, like when I reached the height of my supplements, it took me 20 minutes to take them all. Now I'm down to 6 minutes. Like I have such a fast system. She's like, I've got to see how you take all these supplements. She's like, I got to see this. This is something. You got to show me. So she was amazed by that. So I showed her all of my supplements and I gave her all the list. And she said she's rebuilding. And I told her, I'm really amazed by you because you reached that point and here you are, like just, and your beautiful energy and, you're showing up for yourself and you're investing in yourself. And she said, no, I'm impressed by you that
Of course.
you were where I was, but you didn't burn out. You started making these different changes and buying all these supplements. She says, and you're running a full business. You're running two businesses. She says, I'm
Yeah.
impressed by you. So I'm like, well, I'm still impressed by you because you came back from ground zero. And so there was this back and forth thing. So she was just complimenting me the fact that I was knocking on a door of burnout where
Yeah.
she reached and all her four businesses closed. And she says, and you're
Wow.
thriving. And I said, I guess I'll take that compliment, Danielle. You win. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
you're an example, Mika. You are literally an example, and I want to highlight, and I know this is going to resonate with you. Um, this is a quote or a proverb that was attributed to Confucius that said, "A healthy man wants 1,000 things, a sick man only wants one."
mm,
So
wow.
when we're healthy, we want to seek and chase after so many things, but when our health collapses, there's only one thing we want: health.
Mm, this is true.
So that speaks a lot to what you to the story that you just described, especially with the woman who was running four businesses. That's quite the achievement. But it's so important that we really respect and honor our biology. And of course, for those of you that we are, I think and I'm trying to bring this to the forefront, even with my clients, the body is literally the last frontier, but there are so many other things that precede the body. And of course, the nervous system is within the body, but our emotional body and our light body, and there are just preceding aspects of us that are really, really instrumental when it comes to health. Um, but I want to know if you can name your top daily non negotiables for health right now. What are they?
Definitely meditation. Meditation just a game changer for me because the trauma that I experienced as an adult and, 4.5 years ago, there's no way, like, I don't look like what I've been through. So meditation is key
Okay.
and it regulated me. I was finally able to get sleep. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know how long it took. It may have been probably about the same time as like my crying journey, maybe about 9 months. And I was able to get sleep. And then when I made that connection between that all day meditating with the group and getting 8 hours of sleep, I was like, Eureka. there's something here with meditation. So I felt lighter. I felt emotionally, began to feel more emotionally balanced. So meditation's one. Top 10 non-negotiables. Um, I don't share if what I have, if I can't offer you something that's going to uplift you,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just seeking resonance on, having a bad day, I'm not going to do that. I'm not the type of person to do that. I know that's popular in the world. We want to share our bad day with someone and say, this happened, that happened. I'm not that girl because I I am always looking to elevate how I feel,
Mm-hmm.
elevate, and it's not like spiritual bypassing. I acknowledge, like if I'm having a moment, I acknowledge it and I look at what's caused this. Like I'll really, if notice that my energy shifts, I'm like, interesting, what thought caused that? So I'm
So
going to
you're observing it rather than involving yourself with it.
Yeah, I'm like, what thought happened?
Mm-hmm.
And then what thought preceded that thought? Then it's like, oh, okay, no wonder my energy shifted.
Yeah.
It's not even my stuff, and it's just this thought lead to that. So, like, okay. So I observe and I'm able to go, okay, what can I do with this? Is this something I can do? What can I learn from this? And so, or maybe just I need to shift my mood. And this is an energy check moment.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to share in victimization stories or anything like that with people to connect because I'm looking to be a better evolving human being.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to feel good. I want to attract new opportunities. I want to have my focus be higher. So that's one. I watch what I engage with, what I share. So therefore, I don't watch the news. If there's something important, I'm going to hear it from a customer. I'm going to hear it from someone.
Always.
I'm going to always. So there's meditations, there's what I allow into my mind, what comes out of my mouth and also my non-negotiables. I definitely my nutrition is important.
Yeah.
I intermittent fast, so I eat one meal a day, and
Mm-hmm.
I make sure that it's fiber rich and that it's going to be, it's good for it's colon healthy and
Yeah.
all of that stuff. I care about what comes in, and I definitely care that it goes out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very big on my supplements. Those are non-negotiables because we do need supplements. Like what separates us from our ancestors, you know, early ancestors was because they didn't really wash all their food. So when they pulled a vegetable out of from
Oil.
harvesting,
Yeah.
they would dust it off, lightly wash it, if that, and they would still eat it with some of the soil on it. They would still prepare it with some of the soil on
Yeah.
it. I don't know if that was instinctively in them or not. And when you mentioned cows earlier, which are herbivores, they don't eat animals and they still weigh like 1,500,
Yeah.
1,500 pounds.
Yeah.
So
Some up to 2000. Yeah.
up to 2000 when they're eating the the grass and everything else outside in nature, they're eating it with all the soil. That's where
That's
the
right.
copper is. That's where all the other minerals are
Mm-hmm.
that we are so clean that we wash all of the we wash all of
I
our
know.
vegetables. And so this is a reason why in our society we are nutrient deficient
Yeah.
is because we're such a clean society that we're not consuming the minerals that are in the soil, not like our early ancestors did, and not like the animals, do right now. So that's why I'm big on supplements. I'm getting supplements like copper and other supplements that are in the soils. And so I am taking those daily. So these are my non-negotiables. I'm also taking things like probiotics and vegan omega-3s. What are my other non-negotiables? Joy. So joy is a non-negotiable for me, and I don't mean like fake joy. I mean like real joy, like feel good. Do something that makes you feel good. Like I believe in laughing every day. I believe in if you can get a belly laugh, at least one belly laugh a day, you are in excellent shape. You're in really great shape. If you can get
Laughter is
one,
medicine. Yeah,
yes, laughter is medicine. And so I live in joy. That's just my nature. And I make sure that I do whatever it takes to like feed more of that. Like even in my cafe, like we laugh a lot. We laugh a lot. In my family, we laugh a lot. So my mom, she contributes here. She doesn't work here, but she contributes here, and we laugh and joke. Although I didn't have a great childhood with her as a mom. But yes, we have a good relationship, and I don't hold anything against her. She probably didn't have a great mom, so I got what I got, and I enjoy her as a human being. And so, like all of us, like my dad and my stepdad, I call him dad. And so we actually have a really great time in the kitchen. We laugh our butts off. Like
that's
everyone is
beautiful.
so funny. Yeah, everyone is
Yeah.
so funny here. And so I'm surrounded by joy. I'll cry laughing like every day. I cry laughing. So that's a non-negotiable. And finding and a new thing that's come up for me is, and you and I have talked about this, Simone, nervous system. So 3 weeks ago, I realized that there was just some unhealed parts of my nervous system that I did not know were there.
Yeah.
And but my nervous system was regulated in some other environments that were almost similar. So why is my nervous system unsafe? Why do I not feel safe in one environment, but I feel completely
Yes.
safe in this other environment, and I'm doing the same exact thing? You know, something was causing that. So I am making that a priority, and I am so far ahead. I'm so grateful. This
Yeah.
nervous system journey I started 3 weeks ago. I am I am excelling for me, and that feels so good. So just taking care of the nervous system, that's a non-negotiable now. Making sure that trying to see what else, just nutrition, what's coming out of my mouth, what's coming into my space.
Yeah.
I'm making time for myself. I do, and I think that's why the meditations are so important. That's me making time for myself and going in, and it's not easy. It used to be hard for me, and it's not as hard as it was. It's not a walk in the park because the body is like, well, it wants to think stuff like, oh, there's this thing that you're tomorrow. There's a thing that's like, yeah, settle down, but settle down in the mind. So those are just some of the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. I don't know how many I listed to you. Probably about
Well, if
seven.
I could summarize it, you have obviously habits, and you talked about joy and laughter, meditation. Those are non negotiables. You have your supplement basics, which really do bring in the nutrients that we do not get from food because the soil has been so depleted. You have your food structure and your OMAD that you practice, one meal a day. I do that too. I love it. Um,
Wow.
oh, yeah, because it's so much easier for the digestive system. And just so you guys know, for those that don't know, digestion is second to sex the most energy user. So we use the most energy when we have sex, number one, and when we digest, number two, which is why, like, especially when we have foods, different foods, like let's say Thanksgiving dinner or these dinners where we consume a lot of things and we just get so tired afterwards. That's why, because it takes a lot of energy to digest. So you obviously have that in place. You have your food structure, you have your rest. I'm so happy to hear that you get your 8 hours a day now, because for those of you that don't know, the brain actually processes trauma when we sleep, and it also does a lot of detoxification. The body does a lot of detox while we sleep. So that is why sleep is touted as being such an important aspect. And for those of you that want to go deeper on this, there was a study done with the military. Go and search it. Did you know that if you sleep deprive people, you actually can turn them into diabetics? It actually raises
Mm.
your blood sugar to the degree that now you get, it's a pathology. So yeah, there's that. And you also talked about time for yourself. So that is a I guess summary of your non-negotiables, which I love, 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 love. Those are literally what I would recommend to my clients. But which would you say would be foundational for almost everyone, regardless of diet or lifestyle?
Mm. Mm. I want to say the supplements and also meditating.
I knew you were going to say meditation.
Yes. Yeah, because it regulates your nervous system,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
um and you need to feel safe, and it's amazing. I didn't know that I was not feeling safe in places where I'm supposed to feel safe. If someone didn't like me, my nervous system kicked in, and that meant I
Yes.
didn't feel safe. And as a child, I associated, to not get hit with being liked, so that's how
Mm.
so you don't like me, then I don't feel safe. That was a program then. So, yeah, meditations helps me with that tremendously, and the supplements. So I
I
am, yeah.
I really want people to understand that, because you are doing the work for nervous system, and I know that's like the latest thing, and it's probably one of the most important. I want people to know when you get those, your nervous system, your body. So the nervous system resides in the body. It's going to speak to you before your mind can make sense of anything. So when you go into any place, or you're around a certain person, or you're in an environment and you feel that sense of unease, you feel like I'm not safe here right now, that's your nervous system communicating with you. And it's that feeling in your the pit of your stomach, in your solar plexus, in your third energy center, which has so many nerves. The reason why it's called solar plexus, I don't know if you guys know, because it looks like a sun, hence the name solar. And
Mm,
then from it, there are nerves that go out that look like sun rays. So that's why they
mm,
call it the solar plexus. And there are so many nerves there. That's why when you get that gut feeling, when they say gut, that's why the nerves are actually firing in that area, which is the epicenter of our, that's the, because we call it, and I know that you and I talked about it as being a chakra or an energy center. So that energy center is your power center because of so many nerves. And so, you know how sometimes we say, oh, I have butterflies in my stomach, which is in that same area, in that same chakra, in that same energy center. Yeah, butterflies are actually a warning signal. It's not
mm.
chemistry. It's not that there's going to be some love and passion and crazy anything that's of value. It's actually a warning. It's a warning signal. So I love that you're doing all the work for your nervous system. I really want the audience to know your nervous system speaks to you faster than your mind can even comprehend. The body sends out signals to get you to take action before you start to intellectualize it, because I know that a lot of us say, well, but he's trying. Oh, but so and so did this. Oh, but I've been here before. So it's probably just I'm imagining something. No, no, no. Those signals are very, very reliable and for a very big reason. So I love that you're doing that. Now, I wanted to know because your story is so impactful, not only because of how you brought yourself back to thriving, but you're an entrepreneur and you're running businesses and you're so intelligent and you're doing so much work and you're just an exemplary woman all through and through. But would you say, because I really want people to understand burnout, especially because you're speaking about it not from studying it, but from an experiential perspective. And I think that we learn the most through experience. Um, do you see burnout today as more of an emotional issue, a lifestyle issue, a nutrient deficiency issue, or do you think it's a combination of all things? How would you describe that? What do you see it as?
In my opinion, at least from my experience, I see burnout as lifestyle and emotional issue.
Okay.
Because some people they'll see, they'll see someone as an example of success and um, you know, doing, going. And so the
Yeah.
person goes, okay, that's what it takes to be successful. That's what it takes to accomplish. That's what it takes to show up for the family or, show up for work and keep going. So it's like lifestyle and emotional. So just kind of condition themselves to doing that.
Yeah, I think that that's what you just described is very much what you were describing as your friend Danielle.
And yeah,
And
mo
yourself, yeah, which came
yeah.
to complete. So what do you think that most people get wrong about burnout recovery? Because a lot of people think that a rest alone will fix it. They ignore nutrition. They kind of put a timeline on it to say, well, I've been at this for the last month, 2 or 3, I should be better by now, and they kind of rush back um, to their life and their lifestyle, and oftentimes we kind of just go back into our habits. So what do you think people get wrong about recovering from burnout? You did an amazing job, so I think people could learn
Thank
a lot
you.
from you.
Oh, thank you, Simone. What I did not change. There's one change that I did make in my lifestyle. I was no longer doing the farmer's market and the running the storefront at the same time simultaneously, like on Saturdays with the. So I made that decision, that executive decision. So that was one lifestyle change that I made that I could see other than the supplements. So you don't want to put a time limit on it.
Yeah,
You don't want to set any expectations because then if those dates come by and you don't see the results that you're wanting to get, you could unfairly judge yourself and miscalculate your
so
healing
true.
journey.
So true.
So be fair. Like, just be fair. I mean, you got yourself in this situation. So be fair to your body, be fair to your mind, and ride it out. Just resting, like you said, Simone, is not enough. Like, if I just rested, if I said, let me just take 2 weeks off and I came back, it will be the same thing
And do like
because I haven't
another
made any changes.
120-hour weeks
Right,
after
right.
resting.
Well, yeah. Well, at that time, in 2016, I was on 120-hour weeks and things like, and following years. But 2021, I was doing 80 hours a week. So about 8 hours a week. So
That's still
resting
crazy,
with,
Mika. That's still
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It is, it is. But Simone, you definitely don't want to, you want to make some lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
Mine was I stopped investing uh, I stopped investing an additional 20 hours to the farmer's market. So I stopped that and I added supplements. So I
Ah,
added supplements. So I took something out and I put something good in. Those are,
amazing.
yeah. So rest is not enough.
Yeah.
You want to definitely get into what options are available to you to do. So you want to kind of roll up your sleeves a little bit and be a bit more intentional
Yeah.
and realistic. Like, don't try to set unnecessary expectations. Give yourself time. My brain bounced back. I want to
Yes.
say, yeah, I'm really proud of it. It bounced back. I don't know, like maybe 6 months. And I was taking, as I mentioned before, two particular supplements, NAD, and then the other one that I couldn't recall then, but I have it in front of me now, is GPC liquid drops.
Hmm.
So I started taking that. So very important supplement for brain support and health. Super, super important. And I
I,
am really grateful for my mind.
I really want people to understand that what I love about your story is that it reminds us that the body isn't broken. It's honest, it's communicating with us, and it's giving us all the symptoms. It's speaking to us so that we could take action. And clearly, you've done that. I love the fact that you took one thing out and you put one thing in. And I think that, and not so many words, you spoke so much to what Dr. Joe Dispenza actually always encourages and tries to teach people, and that is to literally become somebody else. You have to kind of become someone else rather than just go and do things, but you return back to being the person you were and you repeat the cycle, which you probably would have done if you would have just gone off to rest a little because you were burnout, and then you would have gone back to your crazy hours and you would have just gone through the collapse again. And actually, no shame and no judgment, but a lot of people go through these cycles, and this is why it's so important to take action. And a lot of people don't have the structure, nor do they have the map. This is the kind of work that I do, and I think it's important to work with somebody that could teach you, and then you just apply it on an ongoing basis. Now, I know that I've kept you for so long, but I want people to know where they can find such an amazing woman. I know you're in my favorite state, but tell us, where can people find you, your cafe, your work? You have your product on Amazon. How can they connect with you? And of course, where your podcast, I don't want to leave that out because your podcast is rated number 4 and I love it. And I want people to learn from all of the content that you put out there. So tell us how we could get to you.
Thank you, Simone. And no, you've kept me, but I've enjoyed our time together. Thank you so much for that and having me on your show. You can find our podcast is Get Obsessed Podcast. It's all about personal development,
Yep.
resiliency. We've had the pleasure of having Simone on our show to share her story. And wow, what a story. So that should be airing in the next week or two. So I want to say by February 12th of 2026, you'll be able to hear Simone's episode on our show, Get Obsessed Podcast. So send us some love and subscribe and follow.
Absolutely.
And yes, we're also on Instagram and Facebook under Get Obsessed Podcast. And our my notebooks and journals that you just saw on the screen. One's called Manifested, the other's called It's Done, and I've got several others in many different colors, and they're all, yeah. Thank you, Simone, for loving them. I love them too. If you go on to Amazon and type in my name, Mika Altidor, you'll see the list of all the journals and notebooks, and then you can order it and have it shipped to you, no matter what, country you're in. So I don't want to say no matter what country you're in, but it ships to most countries. So
Yeah.
so you can do that. So it ships to Amazon Canada and so many other places. So you can get it in Europe, South America, et cetera, et cetera.
All
And
marketplaces. Yep.
yeah, marketplace. So it's just type in my name, Mika, and then last name Altid, as in David, OR.
I'm going to
Mika
have
Altidor.
everything. Yeah, I'll have everything in the show notes so that you guys can have all the links, the appropriate links for getting access to it. And the
Yeah.
cafe, where
And
can
the
people come and
cafe.
get the amazing goodies that you make?
Yes, and you're coming to see me when you come down
I
next month,
am
right?
next month.
Yes. So you can find me. So if you want to see me in person, come to Vegan Monarch Bakery and Cafe right in Winter Haven, Florida. So that's Vegan Monarch Bakery and Cafe and right in Winter Haven, right in downtown. So you'll be able to Google the address and come down and give me a hug. I'm a hugger, so
She won't
Simone
cry.
knows. Oh,
Maybe
that is
she will.
funny.
Maybe you'll be the lucky one that's going to make her cry. Who knows?
Oh my gosh. You see, when you share your vulnerable stories, people don't forget your vulnerable
No, I
moments.
love the fact that you are so real. I really want people to understand the power of real and authenticity. In fact, actually, I think that there were studies done. They say that the energy of authenticity is actually stronger than the energy of love.
Yeah,
Authenticity.
yes. You're
Yes.
absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so come and say hi and and I just want to tell all of you loyal subscribers to Simone, she is as amazing, as she is
Too kind.
over the lines with you podcasting. She is the same in person. She is warm. She is genuine. I'm so honored that I got a chance to really meet her in person. And I didn't know she had a podcast then. We were just connecting on a human level, person
Yes.
person level. And she really is special. There's something about Simone that is very enchanting and rare and beautiful. And so if you're subscribing to her, there's a reason that you are. It's just the energy of her just comes through, the airwaves of podcasting. And she really is a gem. And so I can see why you all love her and follow her. And I'm just honored I got a chance to meet her in person. And so if she has a book signing or anything she has coming out in the future, you want to see her in person and get that
You are
love.
too kind. You're gonna make me cry. People are gonna say me cry now. Oh my God. No, but it was an honor. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I absolutely love being on the other side of the mic, and I love our connection. And I really want people to know just how gracious and how generous you are. I mean, you guys, this girl wakes up early. Like we do meditations at 5 a.m. and then at 7 p.m. every night. And she shares everything. She sets it all up. She facilitates it. She brings it all together. She's available. She's an exemplary woman. I am so honored that I met you, Mika. And oftentimes we think that only the people that we see out in the world that are well known, the celebrities of the world that are exemplary, and yet you do come across people that you see through and through, not just through their energy, but also their achievements that are just absolutely phenomenal people. And what they have survived should give you the inspiration, and that individual should be an example for you to say, like, if they could do it, I could do it too, because we can relate. And I want you guys to know that's what Mika is. The fact that just I didn't even know the whole story about the cafe. And I want to say publicly, like, may you always be blessed with all the success in the world. May your businesses be blessed. May it all flow to you in avalanches now and forevermore. And before we close, I'm going to do a rapid fire because I do this with some of my guests and I want to do it with you. One word answers only, just the first word that comes to mind. Energy,
Love.
burnout,
Mm, death. That actually is what came up to me.
hey, it is what it is. It's the death of an identity so that you could give birth to the next one, right? So that you can
Yes,
thrive.
I love that.
Nourishment,
Ooh. Oh, food for the soul. Oh, one word, right?
that's right. Coming from the
Nourishment.
foodie herself.
Yes. Nourishment. Food.
Healing,
Joy.
vegan,
Me.
Minerals,
Mm, growth,
discipline,
structure,
pleasure,
books.
love that, intuition,
Oh, conversations,
thriving.
being.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mika. Thank you for sharing your story and your lived wisdom. And for those of you that are listening and have listened, if this conversation resonated with you, I invite you to sit with what stood out and notice what your body is asking for. Mika gave us so much information about everything that was shown to her through her body. So I invite you to all begin there. And if you're someone who feels depleted, overwhelmed, or disconnected from your health, and you want personalized guidance and deeper support, you can find ways to work with me in the show notes. And of course, look for me out on Instagram. Definitely go and give Mika and her show a follow, Get Obsessed Podcast. And of course, visit her in the beautiful Florida so that you can get your hands on some of the goodies that she makes. And as always, please remember, as much as any time that I say it, Mika also resonated with it and confirmed it today. Your body is never broken. It's just communicating, and learning to listen is one of the most powerful skills that you'll ever develop. Please share this episode with someone who's been running on empty and leave a review if this show supports you. It genuinely helps more people find these conversations. Mika, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for everything you've shared, for being on my show. And I look forward to seeing you tonight at 7 o'clock when we meditate together.
Me too. Thank you, Simone, for having me. Thank you. Thank you, beautiful.
Thank you so much for joining me on Health Confidential, where healing is more than just symptom relief. It's a return to the body's original blueprint, guided by truth, intuition, and cellular intelligence. If today's episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And follow me on Instagram at simone.gisondi for daily insights, behind the scenes wisdom, and holistic inspiration. To explore working with me and to get your own custom made healing protocol, visit simonegisondi.com and book your private consultation to start working together. Remember, your body is sacred, your intuition is gold, and healing is your birthright. I'm Simone Gisondi, and this has been Health Confidential. See you in the next episode.